Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Monza for our Aero League Racing GT7. This is season 9. It's the top tier of racing, and it's time for round 5 of 8 of our season here at we're taking this in the bright and sunny Cathedral of Speed at the Monza circuit here in Italy. Hopefully you are going to be ready for a good race today, and we shall in all hope be able to further the points situation in our championship. My name is Webbo, here to join you tonight as usual for the championship, and I shall talk you through where the championship finds ourselves as quickly as possible, given that the cars are already out for their qualifying lap. They only get 8 minutes of qualifying here, and there's a Mazda getting it all wrong there at the moment. It's Capelero having a problem right now out on the circuit, just trying to get himself organised and ready for the race. I've just lost my standings for a moment, so my apologies, but do say hello if you're watching with us. Tell us who you're here to watch and who you're supporting as the first laps are underway. In fact, let's join one of the drivers on board, shall we, who is at the top of the standings. We've not watched a lap on board with deck paint before, so let's do that, shall we? Now let's get on proper on board with him as he takes on his first lap down the long straight. Well, Viking Dog leads our championship, and he is on 134 points with a string of podiums. Only one non-podium finish so far in our 8 races that have been at our 4 race weekends. Marco has also had a very strong start. In fact, worst finishes than Viking Dog. He's on 129, and he showed very well last week with a second in the sprint and a win in the feature race. Then comes Raya-chan in 3rd place on 104, some distance back, with BX Royal breathing down his neck on 100 points, and then another gap to our double reigning champ, the mighty Iggy, in the Genesis, not enjoying that Genesis, on 70 points. Capelero has 66, BR4 has 57, Mackey's 55, Owen Williams 45, and Sick Boy has 42. That's your top 10 of the championship then, as we ride with deck paint and see as he, I believe he's in the AMG in the Mercedes, so looking for the braking point, about 80 meters there it seems on the approach into Ascari. You can monster these curbs in a GT car, of course. Looked a little bit lackadaisical coming out of Ascari, so this may compromise him all the way down this long stretch towards the Parabolica, was it Alboreto? It was named after temporarily, but coming through to the end of the lap now. Stay right for the shortest run to the start-finish line, and that is a 1:48.9. Lars is going to cross the line slower. Marco tops it. BR4 tops it too, and Zerbo slots in there as well. Then we get Viking Dog to cross the line to start his first lap, I think, his first proper lap, a 2.9 seconds slower lap there from Viking Dog, as CJ Capelero is about to follow his teammate in the Mazda. CJ gets a 10-second slower lap, so I think just taking it fairly steady, and we have 13 drivers ready to push, and Marco is on his next one. Soft tyres on the car, and heading down towards the Varianti della Roggia, or the Della Roggia chicane. In the manufacturer's standings, Mazda are running away with it so far on 200 points from McLaren's 135. Next comes the Genesis pairing on 125, then Renault on 118, Ferrari on 111, and then we have Peugeot, Lamborghini, Jaguar, all much of a muchness, 79, 73 and 58, and then a long way back with only one driver, and one occasional driver at that, in Mercedes in 9th position so far. So let's see, how is Marco performing on this lap, using the curbs pretty hard. So I think pushing Some of the drivers complaining about the light conditions. It's so bright here that actually the exit curb of Ascari is almost blind to them. They are struggling somewhat to find their way out, riding very, very wide on the exit of Parabolica. You want to be careful not to go too far over that white line, and that is a even faster time for Marco. Raikkonen has blown hot and cold so far this season. He's had some fantastic race weekends, and he goes second now, just half a second, well, just under half a second away from Marco. What about Mackey's? He's attacking the next lap. Viking Dog has not improved by a great deal. He's still 1.1 seconds off the lead of the race, off the lead of the standings at the moment. 6 minutes have gone. Only 4 remain here, I believe. Forgive me, my memory is failing me today. I believe it's a 10-minute qualifying. Get it right now. And Zerbo is in 6th, Caplero 7th, BX Royal in 8th, Owen Williams in 9th, Sick Boy, Deck Paint, Lars, CJ, the remainder of the cars. They all seem to be using those soft tyres. And let's ride with Raikkonen and see if he can find any inroads into Marco's lead at the moment. I don't know that these drivers are going to go into the pits and fit a new set of tyres. That is a very distracting air cooling hose reflection on the windscreen on board Raikkonen's car. A lot of reflections off the dash area onto the screen. It's very pretty, but it's not very helpful for our drivers. Braking very late. That was more like 70 meters, as the Mazda in front has a slowdown instruction. Car getting jumpy over the curbs for Raikkonen. He will blast past the Mazda that will ghost if the car doesn't pull aside. Good evening to the race fans joining us live. Do reassure me, it's my first time streaming through a PS5, so just check the levels for me if you wouldn't mind. And into the pits come our leaders. Let's see if BR4 is going to come in. No, he's actually on an outlap right now, so he will be a good driver to watch. I'd love to hear from you, as long as the levels are okay, both game and mic. That would be really, really helpful for me. BR4, 4 thousandths away from second place at the moment. So 4 thousandths away is 4th place from BR4, but he's got the track relatively to himself at the moment. He's got a bit of clear air in front of him. Probably drivers on in-laps or push laps rather than out-laps right now for him. So BR4 surviving the Rettifilio so far, and using those inside curbs through Curva Grande. His fastest of 47.9. He is 7 tenths away from pole. He's only 3 tenths away from the front row. Just fighting the car slightly on the exit of Della Roggia into the Lesmo 1. Use a little bit of curb on the inside. Can't use a huge amount, but you can get greedy on the curb through Lesmo 2. He chooses not to keep the stability in the car that he's after. And then building the speed on the Curva del Seraglio. Technically, that tiny left kink. He's still warming the tyres, actually, and waiting for his braking zone. He's 7 tenths off at the moment into Ascari, and he's still warming the tyres, so I don't think this lap is anywhere near where it needs to be. Looks like that he is going to have to run a warm-up lap followed by a push lap. Thank you to MA, who joins us just to give us that sound check, so really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, MA. Who are you watching tonight? Who are you interested in? And are you following a specific driver so far? New fastest times going in. Viking Dog set a good time that time out. He has managed a 1:47. Let me see. I'm just waiting for something to clear off my screen. Oh, that is all messy from Viking Dog. What can Marco do in response? Well, it's getting very loose on the exit. He manages the best at 1:47.229 so far. And can he defend that pole position? He currently holds it by just over a quarter of a second. This is now the final lap as the 10-minute mark has elapsed. So braking heavily into the Della Roggia. Monstering the curbs, flirting with the gravel slightly. as we head into Lesmo 1. Get a lap update shortly for him. Come out of Lesmo 2, use the curb nicely, and then through that tiny left kink, and just as we brake for Ascari, we'll get an update on his second sector time. It's a fan of Marco, is MA, who is joining us. Brilliant stuff. Well, Marco showed very well last week, so here's hoping. It looks like Marco is about equal with Viking Dog's best here, and he's certainly not going to improve his time with that current exit of Ascari. So what about Zerbo? We managed a Italian 1-2-3, but Zerbo didn't feature in that last week. So will he feature in it this week? I know it upset him a little bit. Could we get a 1-2-3 qualifying for Italia as we go to cross the line? That will be a no. That was a pretty dramatic refusal of the lap from him, but he's third at the moment. What about Raya-chan? Can he improve and get himself up onto the top 3 positions? He's got the pace usually in hand to get there. Owen Williams improves, Raya-chan improves, but no, it wasn't enough. 38 hundredths keeps him away from the top 3 as Caplero crosses the line and stays 5th. Look at how many Italians we have in the top 5. Forza Italia rings again around Monza. They all get their little engine upgrades and fan boost here, but it is going to be Marco who secures that pole position for our sprint race, 15-minute sprint race, which is usually just on the edge of the soft tyre longevity. The tyres get a decent break in the long straights here, so I think the softs will be okay. So in the 650S, the McLaren 147.229 for Marco, he secures the pole position. Then we will run a reverse order race for the grid of the feature race, the 40-minute feature race. And it's Marco, Viking Dog, Zerbo, Raya-chan, Caplero, Italians 1, 2, 3 and 5 with BR4, Mackeys and deck paint in the 7th and 8th position, followed by Owen Williams, BX Royal, Lars, Sick Boy and CJ Orlando, who will start at the back in 13th place. We're under starters orders. We're already underway as Marco is defending hard into the first corner. It looks like the Peugeot has got himself right up there, and it's a very cautious start. Marco has lost out to 2 drivers, maybe 3, as Raya-chan gets up the inside. Marco's going greedy. He's going to try and get that second place back off his main championship rival Viking Dog up the inside, but the Peugeot has got away like a scolded cat away from the race. Fantastic start from Zerbo in the Peugeot, and it's all about Marco versus Viking Dog as they head down into the Della Roggia chicane. Will they be able to give that racing room? And in fact, it's Marco who cedes position slightly, 1 car off in the gravel. That was the Lamborghini, I think, in the back. Or was that Ferrari? I think that was the Ferrari in the background having a problem. But Viking Dog 1.8 seconds away from Zerbo, who got off that line beautifully. And it's Viking Dog leading our championship and in second place with the main rival for the championship, Marco, just behind him here in Monza. They're both of their home circuit. Zerbo, Viking Dog, Marco Raya-chan and Owen Williams in 5th position. Caplero deposed down to 6th from 5th, but the top 6 having a great start already. No one better than Zerbo. Let's run down then and see. You've got P7 BX Royal, who I think was on the gravel for a moment. No, it was definitely actually the Lamborghini there. The Mazda RX of Caplero has a slowdown penalty. That's half a second off full throttle, off throttle completely as they go across the penalty line next time. But they still will run side by side as the Ferrari gets the nose ahead. He's ahead by sufficient amount, but it's I saw for a moment there was a Peugeot. It was a Peugeot of Owen Williams down into 5th position and still fighting on the brakes into Rettifilio. Go the Ferrari and the Mazda pinned together. Our Genesis of Mackies is in 8th position and hot on the heels of this group, but it's Zerbo, Viking Dog and Marco from Ryachan Williams. On screen then, BX Royal, who seems to have just about got far enough ahead of Caplero for now, got out of the danger zone. Caplero will take that penalty shortly, and he's being bullied into Della Roggia from Mackies, who sneaks it up the inside. Lars now challenging up the inside into Lesmo 1, and it's a classic touring car overtake situation. Caplero loses 1 position, and it just continues to be a problem for him throughout. BR4 in the Lamborghini still fighting back. We don't have Iggy in the field this week, unfortunately. He's now missed 2 weeks, and I think that is his championship hopes pretty much shelved for now. So at the back is Deck Paint, BR4 and CJ. Zerbo is still miles ahead of the fighting championship rivals, Viking Dog and Marco, who's looking for an opportunity into Ascari. Viking Dog defends hard on the way towards Parabolica now, and did use the middle of the track temporarily. Marco has got good grip going through the next corner. Will he get a good exit? That does look pretty smart from him. Needs to avoid that curb too much, and we'll see if he can get the overspeed as they head down the long start-finish straight. And he's gaining now. The kilometers an hour getting faster and faster. What's he going to do? He's going to dive super late down to the inside of Viking Dog. He's got to try and claim that racetrack. He's taking a bit of a sweep around the outside. There's a tiny touch of contact. I think Viking Dog ceded position there because he didn't want to fall foul of the steward decision after that contact. So Marco kept his right foot planted, and through they go. Marco draws back alongside through Curva Grande. As long as he's not completely passed on the way into the Della Roggia, it will favour Marco, who has the apex for the next part, and the car's really having to struggle to give each other a wide enough berth thanks to the game code, and you just don't want to end up falling foul of the of contact between the two. The Renault of Ryachan is behind them, but has a 2-second off throttle penalty, which is going to hurt hugely. Marco, though, his gap to the leader is now 2.4 seconds, while Marco and Viking Dog fight among themselves. Zerbo is being gifted this one at the moment, but Viking Dog is drawing alongside. He's not quite there as they approach Ascari for the 3rd time. 5 minutes have elapsed. That's 1/3 distance of our race. Looks like we're going for 9 laps, possibly into a 10th, depending on how the next one's run. And Marco keeping the car pinned. Viking Dog doesn't want to go for the move into Parabolica, and we're dealing with a little bit of lag on the cars here. As Marco seemingly running a little bit wide, that's going to hurt him on throttle down that long straight. I know that there's some very close racing happening behind these two, but I want to keep an eye on the approach to the Rettifilio chicane. Here comes an attack then from Viking Dog once again. No, he gives it up, but we're going to have it all kinds of action now as Owen Williams is looking for an opportunity. He's in that 4th position. Sorry, it's Ryachan defending in the Renault from Sick Boy, Mackie Skirkin and Caplero. Caplero on the fight back, but it's going to be hard fought tonight. He might do better just to sit and wait for the reverse grid in the main feature race today. Sick Boy in the Jaguar goes down the inside into Della Roggia. Will he find his way through? Again, it favours the car on the outside entry because they've got the inside on the exit, and it's much better grip on the natural racing line. Ryachan still defending. There's contact and running wide, and he loses position, loses momentum. 1, 2, 3, nearly 4 cars come on through. He's almost getting himself the same treatment through the second part of Lesmos, but 3 positions lost from Ryachan, just basically because he lost 1 and tried to hold on around the outside, got a little bit of contact and pushed wide through Lesmo 1. It didn't work out well for him. Zerbo, though, his lead has been cut down to 0.8 of a second as Marco and Viking Dog start to work together to reel in their Italian compatriot. Coming up to the end of lap 4, and it's Zerbo, Marco, Viking Dog, our Italian top 3 in Monza. Viking Dog will have an opportunity here to gain. Marco moving around the circuit a little bit. He's made his one move now. I don't know if he can legitimately go again, but he's a decent gap ahead. Here comes Viking Dog trying to find that room again, and Marco's got better braking, but he's going to have really poor traction out of the Rettifilio chicane, thanks to that little wheel on the gravel. Still trying to keep some good shape. And now he's got that inside line, but he's got the nose ahead. That should be sufficient to get through, as Viking Dog goes climbing all over the barriers, all over the curbs, to try and find the faster line through there. Owen Williams should be enjoying things in 5th position at the moment. Mackies leads the next group of cars, which is 5th. 6th for Sick Boy, 7th for Caplero, and 8th now for Raikkonen, who's dropped down as the Lamborghini of BR4 and the sister Jaguar of Lars come towards that group as well. Soft tyres for the whole grid now. They're all going to have the similar issues, although each car, of course, has different wear rates, both in fuel and in tyre wear. CJ's at the back, but not by a long distance. Zerbo's lead, 0.4 of a second now. And it's going to be a 3-way battle, I think, before long for this podium. Marco has a 0.3 gap to Viking Dog behind, but he should now pick up a slipstream that he wasn't doing before. It's almost like a DRS effect, this double slipstream. However, Viking Dog will do well out of it. It didn't look like Marco got away from the Parabolica well as we crossed the start-finish line fairly dramatically. It's Marco leading Viking Dog at the moment, and he's trying to go down the inside. They go 3 wide into the first corner. Can the Peugeot manage to survive an attack like that? He was round the outside. It looks like it's Marco who's got himself ahead after they bravely tried to do 3 into 1 corner. It worked. They survived, and Marco comes out victorious. However, he's off on the grass slightly coming through Curva Grande. Not the quickest way through. Again, it's going to favour the Peugeot. Marco claims that second apex beautifully, and he's got an opportunity now with almost 10 minutes gone to try and get some breathing room from his main championship rival, Viking Dog. While Viking Dog tries to overtake the Peugeot, Marco can try and get away, and look at that gap he's built already, 0.9 of a second. Beautiful stuff from Marco at the moment. Just dragging the car away bit by bit from Zerbo and Viking Dog. Owen Williams starting to watch this group as well, and needs to try and come and help his teammate if possible. There we go, back onto the gravel slightly on the exit of Ascari for Zerbo. And now let's see if Viking Dog can try and gain, if possible, against the Peugeot, who misses the apex, gets very loose, and actually the job's already done for Viking Dog. But is that a calculated decision from Zerbo? Is he deliberately playing games here to give up the lead position of the two so that he could get that slipstream? He's on the outside on the way into Rettifilio for the 7th time so far tonight, and it just has to cede position on the second apex in order to stay on the racetrack and on the racing line. It is Marco now from Viking Dog, Zerbo, Owen Williams, Mackies, then comes Caplero, who's bringing himself forward after a problematic start, frankly, for him. Raikkonen in 7th, BR4 in 8th. Further back, Lars in 9th, Sick Boy 10th, Deck Paint 11th. BX Royal and CJ are the tail runners at this stage, but they will of course get the pole position and best starting grid for our feature race soon to come. Marco came second, I should say, in the sprint last week, only to then get revenge in the feature. Will we see a reversal of those fortunes tonight? Let's see what happens as he is pushing hard, only 1/10 away from his personal best in Sector 2. really trying to push the car now. He's had a fairly calm run. This McLaren definitely seems to be able to manage the tyre wear that little bit better than the Mazda. We saw that last week. And of course, the majority of the long Aero corners here that really lean on the tyres are the right-handers at Monza. So it is the left tyre of the left tyres of the four that struggle. Marco's lead 1.1 seconds. Very, very impressive stuff so far. Further back, the two Peugeots, third and fourth, looking for really strong points in this sprint race. And then we have got fairly large gaps all the way until this one for 10th, which is deck paint versus BX Royal in the Ferrari chasing. Will he launch a late one into the Rettifilio? No, not quite. He's trying to put the Mercedes offline, and it works to a certain extent. Couldn't quite time the switch back through the final part of the Rettifilio, and he just nudged the rear bumper of the AMG. Just slight mistiming from from BX Royal. He could have had an opportunity there. Caplero's had a big problem and gone down to 13th. So CJ, he's got a 3.5 second penalty. I'm guessing he missed the chicane to get that kind of size of penalty. Just 2 minutes plus a little bit more to go. 2 minutes 15 now to go before we confirm the final lap. And Marco leads by 0.8 from Viking Dog. 2.5 seconds further back is Zerbo, and 1.7 seconds back from him is his teammate Owen Williams in that Peugeot RCZ. The Mazda has been a very good car so far in our championship, and it's been driven very well by the two teammates. But the McLaren at the moment seems to have a small edge, although his exit of Ascari's third sector of the 8th lap, not so smart. Has he pushed too hard at this stage as Viking Dog runs very wide coming out of the Parabolica? He's going to be able to draw fully alongside here. Marco might have to lose the battle here in the hope of winning the war later, but no, the slipstream effect has neutralized once they draw alongside. Marco, almost outbrakes himself. A little bit of teleportation thanks to the lag. Holds on, stays ahead. I think he kept two wheels on the racetrack surface there, but Viking Dog won't be best pleased with that treatment. As they now go side by side once again. Marco still with the lead, heading through Della Roggia, getting nudged and nerfed a little bit. These boys are going to have to be careful. They don't want to win in a bad way, I'm sure, and have it taken away from them later. They want to create for themselves rivalries out of nothing, but it is important now. This is coming into the home stretch in our championship. These two are trying to make it a two-horse battle. It is the final lap of the race. It is confirmed as the final lap now. So Marco with a little weave over to the correct side of the track for Ascari. He might hold on here, you know. It's looking good if he can get a good exit out of Ascari, which Viking Dog definitely does not. He runs super wide, possibly likely to get a slowdown penalty. There it is for Viking Dog. So come what may, he can't overtake Marco. Marco comes through the Parabolica for the final time in the sprint race. He just needs to hold on now, point the car in the right direction, keep that right foot planted, and crosses the line to win the sprint. Viking Dog will pick up that half-second penalty. It gets added to his race time, and Zerbo in third place, Owen Williams in fourth, Mackey's, Ryachan, BR4, BX Royal, as they try to sort themselves out here through the Parabolica. It's Lars ahead of BX Royal's Ferrari. Well, they just swap places. It's only 0.075 of a second between them, and they cross the line. BX Royal 9th, Deckpate 10th, Sick Boy 11th, CJ in 12th, and Caplero will get that pole position for the feature race, but he won't be best pleased about his points haul in that one. So that is our race run for the sprint race. Marco, your winner, and showing some tremendous form at the moment. Forza Italia once again returns with the top three on the podium. Marco, Viking Dog and Zerbo, followed by Owen Williams and Makis Gherkin for the UK here in 4th and 5th. Raya Chan, our Brazilian, ahead of our Swede BR4, and then our Dutchman Lars in 8th. We have BX Royal, Deck Paint, Sick Boy and CJ, all Brits, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. And our final Italian in that 13th position, Caplero, who will get that pole for the feature race, which is going to come very shortly. There's a short break now, so you can go ahead and take a break for a moment. I probably will too, because I've been commentating over the weekend as well, and just rest my voice for a few moments. But keep an eye on the screen. I would say no more than 5 minutes is safe, because then we shall be ready to go. Looks like Viking Dog just complaining, I think, again about the servers and the lag in the game. It is a distraction, certainly, for our drivers. We have a 40-minute reverse grid race coming up in about 5 minutes time, but for now I'll go quiet for just a moment, and we'll see you again very shortly. Keep an eye on the screen. Okay, it's time to get racing then here at Monza for our feature race. It is going to be Caplero at the front. It's going to be the championship rivals Marco and Viking Dog starting from the back, as you would expect. It's a rolling start for 40 minutes of racing here at Monza for the GTs. We're going to be trying different tyre strategies. Softs at the front for Caplero. We often see that for our rearmost racers, and I'm going to keep an eye on those championship rivals as they head down towards that turn one. It's very difficult to make a move on a rolling start from near the front, so let's have a look then near the back. It's already Viking Dog gaining on the Peugeots, gaining on Zerbo so far, and what chance of a double Italian podium as Mackies is making a move down the inside of BR4, goes right through him in fact, thanks to a slightly ghosting moment there. Mackies in the ascendancy all the way up to P6, possibly going to challenge for P5 shortly. A great move early on here from Mackies. Look, making the move stick beautifully as BX Royal is having problems to just hold off BR4 at the moment. BR4 is going to go for a move in the two Italian race cars, and someone's getting pushed. It's the Peugeot out there of Owen Williams getting now bundled around. It's going to be 5 cars going through the Lesmos. Are they going to survive like we saw the 3 wide moment earlier on? So far so good. So far it's Owen Williams, Raya Chan, Viking Dog who's got ahead of Zerbo early on. Marco's still at the back of this group, just being patient, and we saw that work so well for him last week, where he was not as dramatic as everybody in the early laps. He just slowly brought his pace forward and forward. He just needs to keep an eye on his gap to leader here. There goes Marco down the inside of Zerbo. CJ has been hung out to dry there at the back of the grid. He is a newcomer to the league. He's got the pace, but he's just not necessarily quite used to the way the league runs through all of these, and he didn't get a great deal of practice last week. Hopefully he corrected that this week. He's certainly not been as far off the back as the Peugeot of Zerbo gets himself beautifully away from Ascari and gets back past Marco at this early point. Viking Dog, just as he did last week, moving forward with some great decisive moves early on through the end of lap 1, start of lap 2. It is Viking Dog in 10th, Zerbo, Marco and CJ, but at the front Caplero holds on the soft tyres. 3.6 seconds, what's going on as Mackies is up to 3rd in 2 laps? Well, in the second time through the first corner he's up to 3rd place. Fantastic from Mackies, and that's on mediums. I thought for a minute that would be on the soft tyres, but mediums it is for him. Lars, Royal and deck paint I think as well. No, deck paint's going for the hard tyres. He's going to try and one stop this one. He's staying well on the tail of the 458 there in P5 of BX Royal, and they clatter their way through the Della Roggia chicane, and deck paint stays with him. It's BR4, it's Raya Chan next in 8th, Owen Williams in 9th, still ahead of championship leader Viking Dog. Well, championship leader coming into the race, but that may be a lot closer than it was before, having come 2nd in the feature in the sprint. And it's BR4 then in 7th, and looks like deck paint has managed to get a good overlap here. He'll try and hold on into Ascari. This could end in tears on the way out, but he just about lifts off the throttle sufficiently. BR4 gets that 6th place back. Mackies is in 3rd, amazingly from his starting position. Really, really strong from him. I think he was 8th or 7th at the start of the race, but he moved himself up very, very quickly. Problems for Viking Dog, who's run wide on the way out of Parabolica. Marco is nearly a second away from that fraught battle at the moment, as they all head. 4 cars in very close proximity are going to go down into the Rettifilio, and will we see problems? We see Raya Chan nerf the side of the Mazda. I doubt that was deliberate. Marco is going to try and take advantage here as they play after you, sir, going through the Rettifilio. I don't want to have problems and difficulties there coming on out. Deck paint still in 8th on the hard tyres for now. The tyres will come to him later in the stint, of course. And there's Marco, sideways, fully crossed up, going through the Roggia chicane and getting himself ahead. He's on mediums, so is Zerbo's Peugeot behind him, the Ryachan CJ. So it looks like everybody apart from Caplero and Deck Paint are on the medium tyres. Caplero trying to stretch away from the lead, from the race here. Deck Paint has got a 1 second penalty on top of the penalty for carrying the hard tyres at this stage, and that's going to be paid off where you see those yellow markers with the chevrons on them. You can see Deck Paint suddenly slow around now, off throttle, and the whole field are going to pile on past, and it's very busy again up here at the midfield. That was BR4 put unceremoniously off the racetrack there, I think, by the Peugeot. That allowed Viking Dog to go through into 6th place. It will also allow Marco to get a good run on the two of them in front of him. And we're moving forward through the race. 11 seconds away now from the lead is Owen Williams in 7th. But that leader will pit first. It looks like BR4 really having problems getting down into the apex. Outbraked himself, had to stamp on the brakes then, and falling down to 12th place now for BR4. Is it even worse? It might even be that Deck Paint might close in, and it's so busy on the racetrack now. The Peugeots are fighting one another, trying to hold on into Della Roggia. Is Zerbo in 8th. He's got himself ahead of his teammate now, and these are the leaders on the sprint race. Viking, Marco, Zerbo in slightly different positions, but this is how the sprint race finished with these ones. A bit further forward, let's check out. Mackies has dropped to 5th, so BX Royal and Lars have both got ahead of him. He was in a really strong 3rd place earlier on, but Caplero is leading this race ahead of Sick Boy. Whoa, massive sideways moment for Lars, who spears off in the exit of Ascari. And how often do we see that? His rear tyres absolutely lit up there. Tried to drift it through Ascari, but the curb just upset the car, spat him out across the racetrack. And look at Caplero's lead now, 9.5 seconds. That's of course going to move everybody up 1 place, and BX Royal is going to try and hold off Mackies here. He wants that 3rd place back, runs across the dirt and the dust on the racetrack, just off the racetrack surface. Got a really good run, did Mackies. Is already ahead before they break for the first chicane. Now at the start of lap 5, we're 7 minutes 40 in to a 40-minute race, and the mediums just getting into their happy place really. So it looks like Caplero's speed may start to get pegged back slightly by the rest of the field here, apart from maybe Deck Paint, who's down at the back. Personal best time for Sick Boy. That does indicate that the mediums are starting to come into their own. Mackies is 3rd. BX Royal looking for that place back, but really messed up the Roggia chicane. So Mackies stays ahead. Further back now, it's 5th and 6th for our championship contenders, Viking Dog and Marco, with Zerbo keeping a very close eye on them. Viking Dog gets all over the gravel in Lesmo 2, and Marco gets the nose ahead. Viking Dog will try and hold off, but as they head towards Ascari, Marco ahead once again of Viking Dog, now in the feature on the medium tyres, and that's going to hurt Viking because the McLaren is generally better both on fuel and on tyres, as we found out last week. So let's see what Marco can achieve. Now he doesn't have to fight quite so hard with his championship rival. He's got to defend from him, but I do think that Viking Dog will want to move forward in general against the leader. 13.3 seconds away now, 13.9 for Viking Dog from the lead of the race. That's their target. They want to win, not just beat each other, but beating each other is more important for their championship. So an interesting place for their mindsets to be. And the Peugeots are still pinned together once again, 7th and 8th at the moment. Owen Williams gets back ahead of Zerbo. Caplero hanging on though. You know, he could very likely hold on to a podium tonight, because Caplero has been a very quick driver in the Mazda. He has brought that Mazda along with championship leader Viking into the head of our championship. Look at the gap that he's already got now. Caplero, 11.5 seconds, and that has got to be really, really strong for his race. I don't think he'll be tempted to try the hard tyres for a one-stopper. I think he will try and two-stop this, depending on his tyre deg, whether he'll go soft, medium, medium, or soft, medium, soft. We shall see. The strategy's yet to play out, but we are 1/4 distance through the race. So the softs are doing the legwork and actually lasting pretty well here on Caplero's Mazda. So it's not even like he's shredding the tyres to bits. He's now nearly 12 seconds to the good at the head of the field, with Mackey's in second now, having passed the Jaguar of Sick Boy. And Mackey's is absolutely on it in this feature race today. Gets a whole dose of Apex through Parabolica, maybe a little bit too much. And Marco is now looking at the back of a Ferrari, and he's got to feel a little bit conflicted as an Italian in Monza, looking to overtake a Ferrari in a McLaren. Looks like the Peugeot's also hot on the heels of championship leader Viking Dog as Marco gets down the inside. Will BX Royal fight this hard or give it up? He doesn't fight too hard. He wants a good result, but he doesn't think he's going to fight with Marco. Gets a little bit crossed up coming out of the Rettifilio, but Marco up to 4th. Viking Dog holds on to that 6th position at the moment, with the two Peugeots right behind him. Here comes Owen Williams with a look through Curva Grande. Doesn't want to go for a late lunge into Della Roggia. His teammate just has to try and avoid running into the back of him. And someone's got a 2-second penalty. It's our championship leader. It's Viking Dog with a 2-second off throttle penalty. And as Marco moves forward, Viking Dog is going to move backward on this lap. He's got the two Peugeots close behind him. Racing etiquette rules that you should pull aside from the racing line when you go through your penalty. But in front of him, BX Royal has got an equal penalty too now. So they are queuing up to let the drivers behind past them, and we shall see then from the perspective of Raya-chan as two cars ahead of him will suddenly slow right about now. There they go, and he's at full speed. So it's far more than a 2-second penalty in reality, in race time. BX Royal stays ahead of Viking Dog, and BR4 is able to catch them. Viking Dog a little bit loose on the exit, runs wide through Parabolica. He's struggling to hang on to this Mazda today. BR4 in 10th. CJ, Lars and Deckpaint, complete your grid. Deckpaint just saying in the driver chat room before the race, he's just got to try something different today, but he's 35 seconds off the lead, so even if he makes one fewer pit stops, they're still going to get him in the end. It's Mackey's in second. Caplero 13.1 seconds. Very, very comfortable at the head of the race at the moment. On lap 8, 13.5 minutes into our feature race, which is 40 minutes long. And heavy braking then for Mackey's into Ascari. Next up, we've got Marco hot on the heels of the Jaguar, driven by Sick Boy. Both of them struggling out of Della Roggia. So no hint of a move coming from Marco. I'm sure he'll feel a lot better about passing a Jaguar than he did about passing a Ferrari. Sick Boy rocking the Lewis Hamilton black and purple era helmet, I believe. Just a quick glimpse. Marco's gap to the leader 15 seconds overall, but on a different strategy. And Sick Boy is raising his game, personal best middle sector now, with Marco right on his tail. Looks like it's going to be mediums and softs that are going to be the tyre of choice once again in this race. The mediums really lasting very well, and a good race tyre but the softs are so much quicker over a one-lap comparison. There goes Marco into third place. Not the best place to make the overtake. He'll be hoping to try and get a distant toe off Mackey's, but I think he'll be defending going down into the next corner with the Jaguar, making use of the slipstream, waiting to pull out. Maybe they waited that tiny bit too late and almost touched. Marco tries to claim a little bit of racing room to the apex, and I think for now then it will have survived that possible clap back from Sick Boy. Marco into third now. His target clear. Double win today would put him at the head of the championship with 3 rounds to go. Getting loose once again. Both Peugeots now struggling on the rears, coming out of Della Roggia, but we've seen that from multiple cars as Raya-chan has a little look going into Lesmo 1, doesn't quite make it work, but looking for those maneuvers. And we've also got Viking Dog kind of stuck down in 8th position. Kind of strange as Raya-chan is up alongside Owen Williams. He's going to have the outside entry into the Scari, because that becomes the inside for the second part. And in fact, Owen Williams was overtaken fully before they reached the braking zone, so that brings Raya-chan between the Peugeots now up to 6th place. Caplero still leads this race. Should we have a look at how his tyres are doing? Let's just check out Sick Boy defending from Zerbo, and he can't defend. Zerbo breezes past Sick Boy down the back straight, which is unusual. And into the pits comes Marco from the medium tyres. Well, that is early time for Marco. Has he decided this is the best time to pit for fuel? Can he now get to the end of this race on the fuel? And it looks like, what have we got going on? It's Pirelli mediums, is it, for his next one? We shall see, as Caplero's lead 14.5 seconds. He has got pace in hand today, Caplero. He's looking a little bit rough on the exit of Della Roggia, but we've seen that so many times already tonight. This is the battle for third. Continues. Zerbo holds off Sick Boy for now, but I'm very surprised to see Marco in the pits quite as early. I don't know if he's stopping for another 2 sets of soft, or he's decided that it's a 2-stopper. I very much doubt he would have tried the hard tyres, but we're not even a half distance yet, and the drivers, generally speaking, have used about 3/4 of a tank of fuel to get to this point, and it is a thirsty race here. How's Viking Dog doing on fuel? He's got quite a lot of fuel on that car. He's not really been able to use everything that the Mazda has to offer because he's constantly been in traffic. His fastest lap on lap 8 as Raya-chan down the inside of Sick Boy into Ascari. That'll bring an opportunity here to Viking Dog. Tries to find a way through. So that means that we had basically Marco down in 12th position, and he's come out on soft tyres. So he is going to medium soft this. He's not happy with the pace on the mediums overall. He believes he can go faster, and that is absolutely key that he got out in front of the hard tyre shod deck paint. So Marco can now run his own race, but he's 46 seconds away from the leader, who is on soft tyres. Don't forget, he's actually pitted before the driver on soft tyres did, and he was on mediums. So kind of crazy strategy going on at the moment. Here is then the battle for 5th and 6th. It is BX Royal compromise line through the second part of the Rettifilio chicane, and they'll continue side by side up towards Della Roggia through Curva Grande. Owen Williams just ahead. Defends to the inside, uses the middle of the road, which he's allowed to do in defence. He's got the still got the Homer Simpson helmet on. Catch a glimpse of that one as they go through. Marco, his gap 47 seconds at the moment in lap 11 from the leader, but he's got those soft tyres on, which he's been waiting for. Be very surprised if he can get soft tyres to the end of the race. This is Caplero leading. If he can go into 21, 22 minutes, then maybe, just maybe, Marco has got an opportunity to do it. So running out of tyres, running into the last quarter of his fuel tank at the moment is Caplero, but he doesn't go in the pits once again. The soft tyres are clearly very well favoured here from our drivers tonight. And there we have the battle now for what is third position between the Jaguar and the Peugeot. Then the battle for fifth between the Peugeot of Owen and BX. And into the pits comes several drivers now. Owen Williams, Zerbo, BX Royal, all into the pits at this point. You can see Bridgestone tyres waiting for BX Royal's Ferrari. Michelin's for Owen Williams. Michelin, I should say. And then the fuel going in, and it's all about that fuel that needs to go in. Marco is clearly pushing very hard, running wide, 47 seconds. His gap to leader. He will get back past Owen and back past BX, so he's up into 7th. Doing a huge undercut here is Marco, and he's put plenty of fuel on. He hasn't quite brimmed the tanks, but if he has to stop again, it'll just be for tyres and a quick splash. He won't need a lot if he needs anything. I'm sure he's done all of his homework, but a short medium stint and a long soft stint seems to be the way he's going to try and run this one, or 3 short stints with a second set of softs afterwards on his second stop. Let's see, as Mackies is running into the red in fuel, the Mazda is a lot more efficient. So Mackies in second place, 16.3 seconds away from Caplero. I bet Caplero can't quite believe the timing screen at the moment and just how far ahead he is. How little the drivers behind have managed to gain on him through this. Now, Mackie's running very low on fuel. Comes through Parabolica. Does that mean it's time to pit? He's into the second half of the race, so he should be tempted to pit. In he comes then from second. Again, Sick Boy is not low on fuel. He's relatively happy on the mediums, wants to keep running them. Low on fuel though is the Lamborghini, and he pits of BR4. CJ in the Mercedes, that low guttural sound of the Mercedes comes through. He's got 0 fuel on the car, and he pits now as well. So lots of pit stops happening. Lars, the last car to pass the pit lane, and he doesn't do it. So here comes Marco then. He's going to try and pass many other cars in the pits. He was in second place, and he pitted very, very early. Up into 4th then again. Now 46 seconds ahead of Caplero, and trying to make these soft tyres last the distance. He got 15 minutes out of them, no problem. He's going to try and get 21 and a half minutes, plus the final part of the final lap. He's going to try and get that out of these tyres. It's a fairly big ask. He may have to turn the engine down slightly too, looking at that fuel usage. Caplero well in charge of the race so far, and Marco has run that undercut very well. Set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap, lap 12, a 47.951 for our sprint race winner and feature race winner of last week. Clearly the distinct team are going to be well favoured here. They have a lot of followers, beautiful cars, very supportive team. Caplero still not in the pits. Now he's into the red on the fuel. I think he'll pit at the end of lap 13. Sorry, lap 14 for him. Sick Boy in. He's got 14% fuel left. So he was doing fine in the Genesis, as you would expect. Again, Marco runs very wide. That won't be helping those tyres. But just 15 and a half minutes to run now. His gap to leader, still 46 seconds. Caplero yet to pit. Out of the pits comes Sick Boy in the Jaguar. in a great position as well for him. Balls across the racetrack to try and get a good run through the corner. There is Viking Dog in 5th place. He's also gone for those softs. Put a similar amount of fuel on, looking loose coming out of Rettifilio. Running very close between 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. Mackey's, Viking Dog, Rayachan and Zerbo. Best sector of the race there from Viking Dog, who promptly rear ends Mackey's, I think, going into Della Roggia. So that will mean he's not going for a fastest lap, or it's certainly going to hurt that fastest lap attempt. Caplero finally pits with 2% fuel. He got a very good soft tyre run on those tyres, so he managed to get 24 minutes, 25 minutes out of the soft tyres, so it should be achievable for Marco then. It is lasting very well. Mackey's defends into Ascari as Viking Dog trying to get on terms now. Can Marco action the undercut on Caplero, who has to now use the lesser favoured medium tyre for the minority of the race? Not often you see that here. Not often is the soft tyre quite such a viable race tyre as this. Mackey's trying to keep his racing line. Viking Dog staying with him, and didn't really gain a huge amount of slipstream. Just caught him at just the wrong moment, and he's going to duck back in for another bout. There's still a little bit of contact. It's ever so clumsy and not particularly well timed here. Braking hard then into Rettifilio for the 15th time, and Mackey's holds on, parks it at the apex, and that means that the other 2 cars behind of Zerbo and Owen Williams, sorry, where's Rayachan in all of that? I can see him in 5th, there he is. Rayachan gets through past Viking Dog. Caplero, it seems, has held on to the lead of the race against Marco. Very, very close now in this midfield. Little ways off from the podium. I want to see how close Marco is. In fact, it doesn't appear that close to Caplero at this stage. Viking Dog trying to get Rayachan once again in the Renault. Looking for better lane going into Ascari than that. Has to brake early. Can't trust the car to brake super late. Mackey's holding them off at the moment. Where is Marco? He's now 13 seconds away from Caplero. Doesn't need to win if Viking Dog is going to be this far behind, but he can't start thinking about that too much. Rayachan gets ahead of Mackey, so does Viking Dog into Parabolica. That might not be ideal, as Mackey's with a good over-under tries to get the nose ahead of both of them again, and he's succeeded in getting past Viking Dog. Rayachan with poor top speed down the start-finish straight, and 3 trying to go into Rettifilio. Won't work. Rayachan completely at sea. tries to navigate those concrete barriers. There's no way through there. So he slips back down to 7th place. Mackey's holds on to 4th. Mackey's has shown very, very well in this feature race so far. Stuck on the inside though now into Della Roggia. It's difficult, and the Peugeot's going to make a better exit through the corner, and the Peugeot of Zerbo gets himself up and into 4th position now. Fantastic racing from these guys, not giving an inch, not giving a quarter. Fastest lap for Viking Dog was a 48 flat. Marco a 47.6, so really he has been the pace of the field, but of course he had to start at the back. We've got 10 and a half minutes now left of the race. Caplero leads Marco by 12.2 seconds. That looks almost unachievably large, that gap, to try and get on. But as we watch the battle for 4th place continue, the podium looking pretty secure at the moment for the 3 cars, Caplero, Marco and Sick Boy. Once again, Viking versus Zerbo. The nose is slightly ahead. Will the tail be ahead by the time they brake? Mackey's has got a good strong run as well, and he brakes hard down into the Rettifilio, trying to claim the racetrack, and he succeeds, does he? Oh, all 3 of them go wide, and that helps Viking Dog up to 4th and stretch slightly away as they continue to fight. Now it's 5th for Mackey's. It's Zerbo going for the move down the inside. Mackey's braking in a conventional way, gets some rough treatment there from Zerbo's Peugeot. That was someone who had outbraked himself, and now Mackey's is going to suffer thanks to Owen Williams. Zerbo continues to tailgate now the Renault of Ryachan. He's in 6th. Ryachan in 5th. Viking Dog getting away from them by 2.3 seconds. It's not helping anyone's race, this kind of these trips through the chicanes. Ryachan defending. They will trade paint going through Ascari. It's pretty dangerous. And Mackey's deposed down to 7th. I'm sure he won't be happy with that. Now BR4 enters the battle. We're going to continue having a 4 or 5 car battle going through into the next corners. Doesn't quite get it done into Parabolica, but probably wouldn't want to. Just ahead of him, his teammate. We have Zerbo with a good run, but Viking Dog is miles away now that he's managed to free up that traffic run. Here is Zerbo, well ahead as they head towards the Rettifilio. A change of lanes from 8th place Owen Williams to hold off BR4. Let's go have a look at how our leader is doing on the mediums now. He's lost 2 seconds to Marco in 2 laps. So at that rate, we will have a very close finish. And Marco should be able to keep those softs alive. He's using quite a bit of them on the left side, but he's only got 7.5 minutes to go before the final lap will be declared. It's not 40 minutes plus a lap, it's 40 minutes and then finish the lap you're on. So it's slightly different way of calculating a timed race. Caplero now 10 seconds flat to Marco. Sick Boy has a penalty, but he's got a 3.8 second gap, so it's a good indication then when he goes across that penalty mark, as he just did. There's a 1.5 second off throttle that has reduced his timing, his gap down to Viking Dog to 1.2 seconds. That's going to hurt because Viking Dog really wants this podium. Try and keep his championship hopes alive. Sure, he'd love to step on that podium as well at Monza as an Italian. The historic podium out over the main start-finish straight. Here are your runners then as we run through. Now we've got BR4 up the inside of, oh dear, of Owen Williams, and he uses 4 wheels off the racetrack through the apex, and there, 2.5 second penalty, exactly what I was worried about. Way too tight on the apex of the Rettifilio chicane, and he's going to pay the price for that. Wrong positioning of the car, unfortunately for him. Further back, BX Royal Intent, CJ, Lars, and then Derek Payne at the back, who tried the hard tyres, but it's really not working for him, and I think he's going to risk potentially having the leader finish within sight of him down the long straight. Caplero's lead, 9.3 seconds. Now as the soft tyres of Marco get softer and softer and burn away on him. Third is Sick Boy. Viking Dog very much wants a podium from the feature. Viking's only non-podium finish so far this season has been a single 8th place. The rest of the time he's been collecting trophies. Whoa, very wide from Viking Dog. Needs to feather the throttle here, otherwise I think the game might issue a penalty. It's a small delay really when that penalty is given out, but he's got the gap down to half a second and he's unlocking some pace. His fastest lap of 47.5 now, the fastest of the race on lap 17. That previous lap won't count because he went so wide. Enjoying the soft tyres is Viking Dog. Lap 20 then, just over 4 minutes to run. 4 minutes to keep your soft tyres alive, and it tends to be the Mazdas who are using the tyres more, maybe only second to the Italian manufacturers. Well, that Renault's looking a bit rough on its tyres, isn't it, as well, of Ryo-chan. That'll be driving style as much as it is car setup and characteristic. The Ferrari, the Lamborghini, typically pretty rough on the tyres. Looks like the Mercedes are doing pretty well though. Lars is fitting a new set of soft tyres and a little bit of fuel. Caplero's lead, 9 seconds from Marco, with just 3.5 minutes to go. So Marco's ascendancy has definitely stalled, and we're into that tipping point where I think the mediums on Caplero will be strong now, or at least on par with the soft speed of the soft tyres. So what was that for Marco? That lap didn't count. A 1:48 on lap 20, a 1:48.3 for him, a 1:48.8 for Caplero. So half a second a lap is not enough to finish this one out. He'll be relying, Marco, on a Caplero problem, but we do look still on course for a Italian 1-2-3, and Viking Dog and Zerbo are fighting. What is going on here? Viking Dog, I think, had a problem going into the chicane, into the Rettifilio, and has lost time. So maybe the championship pressure starting to show on Viking Dog, who has been pretty supreme through the season so far. Really has been very, very impressive. He holds on at the moment ahead of Sick Boy, Mackey's, and Zerbo's going backwards through that little exchange. Mackey's the only one. Mackey's and Sick Boy upsetting the full run of Italians at the moment at the head of the field. It's looking very, very strong right now, and I think that lap would have been better from Caplero, or certainly this lap currently looks better for Caplero. 2.5 minutes left on the car, on the race for our leader, as Marco is into the red on fuel. Caplero is not, so Marco might need to start just easing off, lift and coast to get this car home. I was worried that he hadn't put quite enough fuel on. He's going to have to do 2 more laps, I believe. Yeah, I think this is going to be 2 more laps, so that is tight on the fuel for Marco. Meanwhile, it's still busy in the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th. Mackey's trying to get some room here. Parks it on the apex again. Zerbo then alongside Sick Oh, it's possible this will be the last lap. Where is Caplero on the racetrack? He's coming through out of Lesmo, so yes, I think we will just have this final lap. Viking Dog holds on. That looks like Sick Boy, who will exit out of this battle. Mackey's in fourth. Zerbo trying to get back, but he's got a penalty on the car. So coming through Ascari with 5 seconds on the clock. It is going to be all about the Italians once again here for our race order. Caplero looking so strong once again. Comes through Parabolica once again. Does Caplero to win the feature race. A very, very good race from him. Congratulations to Caplero. Marco in second place. We have Viking Dog coming through to complete another Italian, all-Italian podium at Monza, and crosses the line to secure third. Fourth is Mackey's. Sick Boy and Zerbo in sixth. Completes a fantastic day for Italy. Owen Williams in seventh. Raya-chan in eighth, and BR4 ninth position. BX Royal brings the Ferrari home in 10th. We have CJ coming through Parabolica to close out the race in 11th. Deck Paint in 12th. And then we have Lars at the rear of the field, who has already crossed the line. But there is your winner, Caplero. Marco and Viking Dog, your podium. Tremendous stuff from him. And a really strong race. A really good day for Marco in the championship, finishing ahead of Viking Dog twice on the podium tonight. A double podium for him, first and second in the sprint and the feature. Viking Dog a second and a third, and Caplero will move himself forward in the title battle as well. And there we have victory for Caplero. We have the rest of the grid. He got pole position thanks to the reverse grid on the race. He got a clean race, really showed a clean pair of heels to the rest of the battlers there on the soft tyres early on. Brilliant strategy from him at the head of the field. And here, just to confirm your results then, Italy 1, 2, 3, Caplero, Marco and Viking Dog, followed by Mackie, Sick Boy, Zerbo, Owen Williams and Raya-chan. And in 9th, BR4, 10th is BX Royal, and then comes CJ Orlando, Deck Paint, and Lars, your 13 finishes. Lars finished a lap out, but a very successful race today. We have 3 rounds to go in our 9th season here in Tier 1. This has been Webbo on the mic. This has been Aero League Racing's 9th season, Tier 1. Round 5 at Monza. And from everybody here on the channel, thanks for watching, thanks for liking, and we will catch you on the next race day.